to the King's Court Forum. I'm happy because we got all ladies on this one, and we are going to be actually talking about women. Thank y'all all for coming. I appreciate it. I'm very happy that y'all are here. We got some first timers. My big sister is here. I'm so happy. White, another form of my big sister, is here. I'm so happy. My cousin, and then my lady. So it should be good. I wish we had some dudes on here to give like a little, a little bit of a different perspective, but it's okay because I feel like this is a conversation that we need to have, period. And the topic I chose for this one was women. It kind of was a run on, or something was said in the last one that made me think about the topic for this one. So I just said women are at the forefront of change in today's society, and then I named a bunch of strong, powerful women, from Kamala Harris, our vice president, to Beyonce. And then I asked the question, are women getting their proper respect in today's climate? And so instead of me going first, I would like to open up the floor for anybody who wants to answer. I know y'all all is not this shy.
Y'all but I'm eating. I would go first, but I'm eating.
Oh. Okay, well, I'll go first, even though I kind of didn't want to. But no, I guess is my short answer. No, I don't think that women are getting their proper due in society. And I think it's partly because women aren't respected the way they should be. And I think it's important to define respect and what that means, as far as a woman is concerned, and from a man's perspective. I think that it is being honorary and inclusive to women in their exploits and endeavors. I don't think that we do that enough. Oftentimes, a woman will be the backbone of a project being done or the support system for something happening. You can even look at President Obama and his entire presidency. The reason why he was the man he was because of Michelle. And when you look at it, first off, they say he's a failure, but that's another topic. But he himself has said on multiple occasions, whether it's in his book or in interviews or anywhere that you can hear him talk, he would have done nothing without Michelle. But then when you look at Michelle, they don't ever credit her for the things that, or they try to discredit her for the things that she's doing and the things that she's done. And then especially being a Black woman, they definitely try and downplay her. And we'll get into like specifically how I feel about Black women and how they're portrayed. But I don't think that we're nearly as honorary or inclusive to women at all. And I don't think that we as men, me included, I have moments where, we don't recognize women as equals, I don't think that we do enough of seeing that although we are different, that doesn't mean that anybody is less than. And I think that that's a problem that has actually come from, racism in the caste system, where if just because somebody is different, you can think of them as less than. And I think that the misogynistic society that that they created permeated to Black men. When you see in ancient times, especially in Africa, a lot of women were the most powerful women in Africa. You know what I mean? And in the world, actually. But to see what women go through now and how women are treated now, even though they do the things that they do, I don't think that they are respected and revered the way they should, especially not in today's climate.
To answer your question, I don't think that women are respected. Respect is a very basic word, and I think that people toss the word respect around, treating it like it's just I don't think they understand how deep of a word it is. Respect is, I looked it up, it's a deep admiration,
Mm.
And it's elicited by a person, someone, or something's abilities, qualities, and achievements. And me as a Black woman, definitely, I would say no, we are not respected, and it's very at a like a small minimum that we are respected, because just based on looks, our work, what we do, they will respect a white woman doing something versus what a Black woman do way quicker. They'll get acknowledged. We don't get acknowledged for too much of anything that we do. We get criticized. It's not a respect, it's criticism. We get critiqued on everything, and we get beat down, and then we have these stereotypes where everybody wants to say, oh, strong Black woman. Well, we're human too, and we always don't want to be strong. We have our moments where we're weak too, but because we're a strong Black woman, we could take anything, and it's that's just what we are, but then we also got the attitude. She got an attitude. Why? Because I don't tolerate being disrespected. I don't get acknowledged for my hard work. Even a wife, a wife has a part in a relationship just as a husband. I get that a man is the head of the household, but at the same time, like, a wife does just as much if she's a good wife, in my opinion. Because she got the hold down the house. She has to cater to her husband when he gets home, because as a Black man, if that's what she has, he has to deal with a whole bunch dealing outside the house. And I think a Black woman doesn't get respected because she's uplifting her husband and supporting him, and then she's holding down the household, and that's a lot, and then heaven forbid she got kids too, that's a whole nother animal. So I just think that as a Black woman, we are not respected. I will say that now you see more Black women climbing the ranks, as far as Simone, what's her name? Simone Sanders, Karen Pierre, they're on, Joe Biden's team. I think that's wonderful. They're younger Black women. And I think that's sending a right message to younger Black women.
I definitely agree with that. Go ahead, cuz you had something to say?
So my answer is no, and I'm going to speak from the perspective of, obviously, a minority woman, and just in general, in terms of our community. So the reality of, and I think most of us are from America on this call, but just the injustices that our community has faced, you know what I mean, with it seeming like there's no end in sight. I mean, the killings that have gone on for the last couple of years that have not ever really stopped. It's just the fact that we're able to see that. But I think the heaviest burden is with Black women, and that we have to bear from the time that we got off the slave ship until the time we reached America. And it's still happening, from being sexually violated, you know what I mean, to, oh, let me, talk about skin color, or let me touch your hair, you know what I mean? And the evidence of us being disrespected is just the prime example of Breonna Taylor. I mean, that in itself was, horrific. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about whether or not we are respected, like Amber said, I mean, people don't realize the deep definition of respected. Are we admired? No, we have to go through so many challenges. You know what I mean? And I do think there's Black girl magic. I do think there is momentum happening across, society, in which a lot of us are being successful in our endeavors. And doing the best that we can in the society that we are in. But when you talk about whether or not we're respected, no, we're not. First of all, we have a double minority status. We're female and we're a minority. You know what I mean? And to Amber's point, whereas, our counterpart, our white counterparts are looked at and revered and praised, that's just the way, that's like a systematic thing that's been happening for centuries, where the white woman is looked at as golden. You know what I mean? And so it's almost ingrained in us that we have to be this strong superwoman. We have to be, when you ask Black women, like, what's their strengths, we talk about, most of us will say we're strong, or we're resilient, or whatever those things. But it's that description of ourselves is indicative of how we are overlooked. Do you understand what I'm saying? So again, a lot of points that Amber had made, like, if you're a woman, a Black woman, or a minority woman, and particularly I'm going to speak of Black woman in this society, and you are married, or you're not even married, either way you look at it, you still have all these burdens. You're judged. You have to work twice as hard. I can give my sister a prime example. She has a double master's, and she's in Erie County, okay? And she had to leave and work in Ohio to be respected and to be able to start her programs. You know what I mean? I was in Erie or whatever, and I worked for the state. I have my master's degree. I have 20 years in the game. But if I would have stayed in Erie, I'd still not be able to, have the opportunities to move up in terms of my career. So I have to be twice as good. You have to care, and then it's like you have to deal with the Karens of the world and the Chads or whatever we're calling them nowadays. You know what I mean? Of the world, And if I speak up, or if I assert myself, if I say no, I'm not going to tolerate this disrespect, or I'm just as good as you, if not better, it's a problem. You've got an attitude, or you're entitled, or how dare you? You're an uppity nigga, is what they call you. Or she bougie, she stuck up, or whatever the case. So we get it from both sides. We get it from our own culture, where she's bougie, she's stuck up, and we get it from the white folks to say, oh, she's uppity, she's city, or how dare she? You know what I mean? That's been my experience. I can speak from my experience. But again, yes, I do think that there are, just the fact that we've been able to hold down the fort, meaning support our communities, support our men, take a beating mentally, emotionally, and physically, and still keep on surviving, still keep on winning, is a testament to the wonderfulness of us. But are we respected? Hell no, we're not.
I I definitely agree. White, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I think they all broke it down pretty much. My thing is we're not, and it's sucks,
Yeah, and you being in the position that you were in, being as high up as you was, did you feel that?
We never was respected. And I feel like a lot of times we gotta downplay ourselves because of that.
Oh yeah.
That's the worst of it. Like, I'm just as educated as the best of them and been through a lot of things, can tell a lot, from life experiences, but we don't get respected with what we bring to the table. So we gotta downplay ourselves and be in the corner supporting our comrades when I've already said what you stated, So yeah, we have to downplay ourselves a lot, and that takes a toll on a Black woman.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I believe it. One thing that I would say, y'all, I think that y'all are absolutely right. I don't agree with I don't disagree. I don't agree. What? I don't disagree with anything y'all said. I think the biggest points is, because you said that Black women are a double minority. I would actually take it a step further. I think that Black women are a triple minority, because Black women are Black women are women, and Black women are Black women. And I think that because you guys are Black women, they give you guys another completely separate stereotype that serves to oppress you guys even more than just being Black and being a female. You know what I mean? And one thing that I can think of just off the top of my head, and what y'all said, is the angry Black woman thing. You know what I mean? Like, just to think that Black women are just naturally angry. I mean, first off, like we can talk about all of the trauma that Black women have been throughout history.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Slave ships, still now.
And seeing what they've been through, and then
Still
trying
going
to
through.
label Black women as being angry without acknowledging that that type of stuff, it may have happened to Black men, but it happened to Black women too, because it happened to
Absolutely.
Black women's men. You know what I mean? And Black women have been the support system for Black men the entire time. You know what I mean? And so even though it happens to a Black man, and some people might say, oh, George Floyd was murdered, you know what I mean? Or Breonna Taylor was murdered, or Latasha Harlins was murdered. Nobody talks about the effect that it could have on her mother, on their grandmothers, on their daughters, or anybody like that. They always think about the patriarchal impact that it would have. Oh, stop killing our Black men, stop doing this to our Black men, you're leaving sons out here. What about the daughters? You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
when men are hurt, it affects the women too. You know what I mean? And what you see is women actually end up coming out in droves, more droves than Black men do. And I actually want to get into that because Amber, when you said that Black women have been supporting Black men, I think that that's a very good point, and I don't think that it's the reverse. I don't think that Black men support Black women nearly as much as they should. And I just
agree.
think, and Black women. Go ahead.
I think that Black men, unfortunately, some don't realize that they're going through their struggles, and that their Black woman in this case, you know, Black couple, that she is being affected by what he's going through. You coming home upset because your white boss, you know, talked down to you, you know, put all this work on you to stress you out, you know, and I'm sitting here like, oh, that's messed up, but you know what? You still doing your job. He can't say nothing, you know, you trying to uplift him. But at the same time, women are emotional. So emotionally, it's affecting me too.
Right.
You know, and they don't realize that. They just, you know, I'm not going to discredit them on what they're going through, but they don't think about how they're affecting the woman.
No, we certainly don't. You know what I mean? And that's something that being with a Black woman who is my support system, that's something that has taught me, is when I am out in the world and I bring it home, I may feel how I feel because I'm a man. I may not react that way, but if I tell Cece about it, I know that she might react more strongly than I do, even though it happened to me. And that's what I was saying about like Black men not understanding, and just society in general not understanding how much trauma affects Black women when they're in these situations, when trauma happens to them. You know what I mean? Like, don't I consciously think about what happens to me, and then what it could potentially do to Cece from an emotional standpoint. And then I understand that, yes, I'm going to tell her, but the same way that she's being there for me because it happened to me, I still need to be there for her emotionally so that she can feel protected. And I think that that's something that Black men don't do, that men don't do enough, period. But specifically Black men, I'm speaking from my own perspective, Black men don't do for their women enough. And I actually wasn't good at it either. You know what I mean? I've learned it over time and through just trials and tribulations. But you just understand and you learn that the same way that she is your spine, you have to be her rib cage, because both of y'all are the body. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the same way that there is going to be support from her, there has to be protection from me. And that includes her emotional protection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say
I was
there's
just
so many layers
agreeing.
to that.
I was gonna say I agree with that last statement about us having to be reciprocal, because a lot of times I feel like because we birth Black boys, we feel that we have to protect ourselves, and because a lot of times there are single Black mothers, we have to then go in protection mode for our Black men, even when they get older. So we feel like we have to doubly protect our community because we have to suffer oppression for ourselves, and then birthing Black boys, we have to protect them too in the single mother realm. So like, for instance, I was at Victoria's Secret and this girl said something outlandish to me, and I went off. I got her fired, and I had them do diversity training because I was upset at the way she came at me racially. Right after that, we went to Barnes and Noble, and Phillip noticed that we were being profiled. Everybody white that walked by us wasn't being followed. Every 5 minutes, they would come up to us and say, do you need help? Do you need help? And I'm like, hold up. I come in here at night and you guys don't do this to me. Why are you guys doing it to us now as a couple? And I noticed that we had on the clothing that would look suspicious. Like Phillip had a bunch of chains on, and he had, you know, a bunch of stuff that they would just use to profile you. So he was like, let's go. I said no. And that's where the protective reciprocation, you know, was a little different, because I said no. I had just got done telling off the Victoria's Secret employee. I was not about to let them slide. I went up to that counter, asked for the manager, and I told her, come here. Have you asked all those other people if they needed help? No. So why are you asking us? And she was like, well, you know, you're in a specific area. I said, they're in the same area as us. If you're going to ask us, you're going to ask them. If you're not, you're going to leave us alone. We plan on buying, but because you started bothering us, we're leaving. The whole time he was just ready to go and just kind of express his emotions passively. I wasn't having it. And I feel like that's what we do in a general sense, is we go into mama lion mode. And a lot of times we don't feel that from the other side. Oftentimes there's a criteria we have to meet to get that protection in our community. And I salute the men in the South who were toting around AKs and all of that to protect Black women during the riots, because when's the last time you saw that? I mean, I think our parents were kids the last time we saw that, you know, televised. So, and then the, you know, protect Breonna Taylor, arrest the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor. That's a big deal, because a lot of times, again, the community will find reasons to not advocate for a Black woman publicly, but any George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, those things were automatic. I think that those things were going to come with the territory of them having been Black. With Breonna Taylor, I was very surprised at the outpouring of support that she got from the entire Black community because she's a woman. And I think that's a paradigm shift that we are starting to see, that I'm proud of, but we still have a long ways to go within our community. And actually, what I was going to say when I first got this question was, it's a bifold answer for me. Yes, we are respected, and no, we're not in other areas. But now that everyone else has spoken, I no, we're not respected, we're recognized. So there's respect that is there. Yes, there's a difference. So whereas people like Ava DuVernay would have been shined over by Spike Lee in the past, she's getting recognized now. Madam C.J. Walker is just now coming out with a documentary. She was the first Black billionaire. Frederick Douglass been a top conversation, you know what I mean? And he's only half Black. So it's like we are starting to get recognized, but we have a long ways to go before we're respected.
I think jumping on the just to everyone's point about like the how we're not, there was no how do I want to say this? Like like Cece, you said you were shocked to see like us rallying behind, or the Black community rallying behind Breonna Taylor. And I think, and I was going to chime in when Phillip was talking about stuff similar to this. I think that there's so many layers to this, because the media plays a huge part in a lot of things, particularly their refusal to acknowledge the violence against Black women. And so when you have that refusal to acknowledge the fact that we've been abused or there's violence against us, then it becomes this almost I don't want to say ignorance, but yeah, for lack of a better, ignorance that Black women don't face. It's almost like we're not human. You know what I mean? Or if we are, it's like, it's a double-edged sword, because we're either superhuman because we can take everything and take all this damn abuse and everything that society throws at us. But when it comes to like protecting us, then it's like they don't even exist. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Prime example, there have been plenty of Black missing children and Black girls missing and snatched up. Do you see that on the news plastered everywhere? But let her be blonde hair and blue eyes. The whole half of the world knows about it. And they shut down and did search parties all over the place.
And got an Amber Alert.
You know what I mean? And I can't tell you how many Amber Alerts I got out here in Texas. But anyways, you know what I mean? But still. And so it just, we're just not, we go through so much. And the trauma is where, so now I'm about to put my therapist cap on. So when you're talking about, you have to learn to acknowledge, you know, being there, being reciprocal in terms of, if you're experiencing something, then you know that your partner is experiencing it too. I think that has a lot to do with, you know, I don't want to make a general statement, but I'm going to say, and I'm going to get in trouble for it. I do think that there's some part of men that is selfish in terms of, and I don't know that it's purposeful. I just think as the way that society has it. So with that being said, it takes a certain level of emotional maturity for a man to recognize, who has a partner, to recognize, like, whatever I'm going through, I understand that my partner is experiencing this with me. I'm not alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
With that.
It's not natural. It's not a man, if he's not come to that full maturity, emotional maturity, it's not just automatic. It's something that has either been brought to his attention, or he's reached that level and he's had these life experiences to say, you know what, this is my woman, this is my partner, this is, you know what I mean, my spine, my rib, or whatever he defines her. And I know that she's going through it too. The flip side of that, there are some men who will be going through something and will close down and not express. And so when they close down and they feeling stuff, is what therapists call it, it explodes. And that's the part that you see taking it out on the woman, in particular the Black woman.
I was just about to say that. I'm glad that you said that. I agree that
Which does not help.
That men do not. So when you said it, the selfishness, that's exactly what it is, and it is conscious, but then it's unconscious as well, because you don't. In some ways, you think of it, and this is how I used to think of it. I used to think of it like, I'm going through this. She's with me. I can handle it, and therefore I don't want her. I don't want to give it to her because I can do it. And so, so in our mind, as a man, in our mind, what we're saying is we are protecting her from whatever we're going through because we can do it ourselves. We are strong enough. And it's not saying that she's not strong enough to do it. It's just saying that I believe that I am strong enough to do it.
Okay, I have a question. About that really quick. So then that leads me to, do you agree or disagree with Nikki Giovanni asking what's his name? Yes, James Baldwin. Do you agree with her asking him to lie to her the same way he does outside? Because you said you repress yourself in order to protect us. And some men would take that as what James Baldwin was saying was, I'm doing the same thing. She was like, no, she was asking him to do the same thing to her. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to actually come in and be real with her and not protect her emotionally. So do you agree? Whose side do you agree with in terms of the approach in the Black relationship? Do you agree with hers or his?
I agree with his, because I think that as my companion, you deserve more than what I give to the world.
So because she was saying, I want you to be as kind and as unreal with me to help me out than you are with them. So
I get it. So what I would say is I would not be mean to you. And instead I would flip it. So instead of being nice to the world and being mean to my woman, I would be mean to the world and be nice to my woman.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You kind of are combining the two, like you.
Yeah, like because and that's what I was saying is, like, I think that I owe you more than I do the world, because the world doesn't care for me like you do. The world doesn't support me like you do. The world doesn't build me like you do. The world doesn't grow me like you do. You know what I mean? You do that. Therefore, when I'm out in the world, they can have all that fake mess, all the fake smiles and the, you know, and the, hi, how you doing? And I'm really going through something and all of that. But I can bring home the real to you in a way that is productive, in a way that is mature, in a way that is emotionally sound, because I know that you have my best interest at heart. I never have to worry about you taking what I'm going through and then hurting me with it like the world will do, because the world is cut.